Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. We are back with the Ted Show. Incredibly excited to have David Hill on the show today. We're going to talk about never giving up, never, ever, ever, ever giving up. And his story is incredibly inspirational. Just super honored to have you on the show today. Welcome, David.
Thank you so much. I feel privileged to be here with you.
Well, I'm very excited. We got past our little technical difficulties. And now, which is normal for me, now we want to learn about you. So I gave them enough information like in the posts and the promos, but it's always great to hear origin story from the guest because it gives them a good perspective of how you got to where you're at. So I'm going to let you do that while I share the show.
Okay. Well, like you said, I'm David Hill. A little over 6 years ago, I was at a friend's wedding in Alabama, right outside of Birmingham. And we were staying at a venue at a giant plantation with a pool. And everyone at the reception jumped in the pool afterwards. And I happened to jump a little too far, hitting my head on the other side of the wall, breaking my neck, and ended up staying in the hospital in Alabama for 4 weeks, and then got transferred to Atlanta, where I went to a rehab specialty hospital, Shepherd Center, for 2 months, and then came back home. And then that's pretty much where my world changed from there.
What was that? I've had several friends who have unfortunately experienced similar. Always seems to have to do with a pool or a lake or something. It's but that you wake up from that, and then where are you at? Did they have to keep you sedated for a while as they tried to figure it out? I mean, it's a long. People don't understand. It's not just you have this horrific accident and then all of a sudden now you know exactly what's going on. It takes a while for them to determine and to get your body in a place where it's healed enough for them to find out more. Is that right?
I mean, when I was in the hospital, I don't remember the first 3 weeks of even being at the hospital. I pretty much remember the 4th week waking up. I had a ventilator in, so I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. It was terrifying. Probably the most terrifying thing I've ever had, been in. And trying to communicate what's wrong with me, and it was just terrifying. To know that I couldn't move and that this is going to be my way of my life, probably forever. They gave me pretty much a 1 to 2% chance of ever moving again or walking. So
wow.
It was.
So when you get that, what happens? That would, like, I couldn't breathe when you were saying that. Like it just the ventilator and then not being able to communicate. That must have been so hard and so frustrating, and yet you know that you have to figure out how to maneuver through it. If you don't, you're not going to be able to get the answers that you want. So what happens in the beginning? Do you immediately start physical therapy? Do you have to go through a whole battery of tests to determine where the actual injury is or how bad the injury is?
Well, they pretty much told me right at the beginning that my injury level was C4-5, which basically means that everything below my chest doesn't work. So my arms don't work, just a little bit of movement in my trunk at the time. And I, was on a ventilator. They said I might not ever get off a ventilator. So going from there was, what do I do? Like, how am I going to do this? And it's basically one step at a time. You just kind of have to overcome the first obstacle, which was the ventilator, to try to get off that. And I had a procedure where they put a diaphragm pacing system in to help my diaphragm build up the muscle, back up the muscle, in order for me to get off the vent, which luckily I did about 9 months later.
It's just the amount of work, physical and mental work that you have to put into, I think, obviously it's beyond the scope of what you would normally know. And so you have to retrain, you have to rethink the way you do everything, the way you communicate, the way you are going to think about, okay, what's coming up next in my world? How do I eat? How do I function? How am I going to get to places? I mean, it opens up this whole new crazy world that you have to try to figure out how to maneuver through while you're still healing.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I was never one to like ask for help, and then all of a sudden I can't do anything, so I need help doing everything, and trying to find, I thank God for my family and friends for being there, because without them, I mean, to go do this alone, I don't know if anybody could really do it. I mean, it's that detrimental to to just your whole body and mental state going
Well,
through
the
something.
mental, the constant pressure of anybody who knows, like if you have something physically wrong with you, and your mental is also not where it needs to be, you're fighting two basic battles. And
Hmm.
so what was there something like a particular therapist or a particular moment that you remember where you go, all right, I feel like I've turned a corner. I'm going to do more. This is sort of the goes to the theme of never giving up. I want to do more than they're telling me that I can do.
I would definitely have to say it probably was the when I got transferred to the Shepherd Center. There was a couple therapists there who really pushed me to start doing something, because I felt like I wasn't going to be able to do anything anymore. I was just going to be just laying there up, pretty much having someone to do everything for me and not being able to do anything for myself. And then also some of their prior patients came back in who had gotten better and had normal lives. And I said, well, if they can do it, then why can't I? And then I kind of took the mindset from there, like, I can do this. As long as I don't give up, and keep striving, to get better, then I can.
I think the mental battle is where you really need to have your wits about you. You have to kind of figure out where you get that strength from. Where did you get yours from? Do you meditate, faith? What is it that you do that keeps you centered and allows you to continue to push past the things that the doctors had said about you?
I think the first year was definitely the hardest. Lots of tears that year of trying to figure out what I was going to do and how I was going to get better. But then when I started going to rehab, especially going into our gym, the local gym Next Step, Orlando, it really opened me up seeing other spinal cord injury patients, there striving to get better, wanting to work out. And it really made me feel like, all right, there is other people like me that want to get better. And I don't want to be, just that, scenario where it's, the 1% to 2% chance. I want to be in that 1% to 2% chance of walking again, moving again. And just a community there of other people, it just makes, I just love it. It just, if other people, have that kind of faith in themselves and other people, then, I'm going to have the same.
I think bravo to Next Step is amazing. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
I've had them on the show before. I think that anytime you get that hope and then you're surrounded by other people who you see have progressed further, it gives you that ability. I feel like it would give me the hope or the want and the desire to push past all of the negative stuff that doctors
Exactly.
tend. Nothing against doctors. I know they have to give you worst case scenarios
I mean,
sometimes, but
I was very close at the beginning from dying. Like I was in bad shape. I got pneumonia, and I mean, they basically couldn't even come in the room, or my vitals would go crazy. So I got pretty lucky. So they're definitely good at fixing you.
yeah.
It's just the after part, trying to figure out how to, get me back, or walking, moving.
So tell me what progress you've made. Give us kind of a day in the life of what's going on in your journey, because I think I put in there, and I think you put on there, quadriplegic who is on a journey to walk again.
Yeah, most of my time right now is trying to focus on my rehab and my therapy. So I go to Next Step 3 times a week now for 2 hours. And then I also have an exercise bike at my house that I try to use as much as possible to really work on regaining strength and movement in my arms and legs, but especially my core. Like I was barely able to sit up. I couldn't sit up on my own but now I can sit up on my own. I can move side to side and forwards, and it's all due to, you know, going to therapy, striving to get better. But I also went to Thailand 2 years ago to get a epidural stimulator put on my spine to help strengthen my my muscles in my core and my legs, which has actually helped also.
So you feel like you're sitting up. I don't see any, like a lot of times I've interviewed people who have had the breathiness because they still have this or something
Yeah, I
like
still
that.
have the scar there too. You can kind of see.
Yeah, I can't see it, but I bet you could.
Yeah.
Okay, I kind of do. Tell me what that has been like to see your own progress. Have you surprised yourself? Have you surprised the people around you? Are your doctors going, well, you know, you've gotten this far, David, but you know, don't get your hopes up. Like, what's the support and what's that been like?
It's actually not. It's hard to, you know, like you never see your gains or how much you're doing like in yourself, because you see, you know, yourself every day and know what you do. I think it's when other people say things and notice. I think that's when I really like it clicks sometimes. Like the other day at the gym, the trainer's like, "Wow, are you really moving your bicep and moving your arm up like that?" And I look down and try to go, I guess I am. I didn't know I could do that. So it doesn't hit until someone else usually says something, and then I'm like, "Wow, I guess I am really making progress." And that's also what keeps me going too. So.
I mean, just that amount of progress, that's a big deal. So I mean,
Oh,
you
yes.
say it as if it's, you know, wow, I am doing, that is ginormous compared to some of the prognoses that you were given prior and
Oh, of course.
prior to you doing all of the work. Moving your bicep is insanely big. It's a big deal. Kudos to you for that. Explain to people. I think people go, well, okay, now he's got his quality of life. Explain to people what they don't know about living in your world, because I feel like we think we know, and then we do stupid things as human beings because we don't understand what the challenges are for you.
Well, I mean, for the most part, like I said, I had like a good job, had my own house and everything, and that all of a sudden pretty much went out the door. I pretty much needed 24-hour care, and you know, somewhat still do. So I mean, I had to move out of my house. I had to give up my job. Pretty much any like independent social life or independent life that I had is pretty much gone now. Now I have to have a caregiver come every morning to get me up. You know, it's also things like, you know, I can't go to the bathroom myself. I can't bathe myself. I can't, you know, so I have help doing that, and it's very, you know, personal, and
of course,
you know, that's sometimes hard to, you know, ask for help.
I think somebody just came on. Fred, is that a dad?
No, that's my brother.
Brother? Yeah, he just posted it takes 1 to 2 hours to get ready for bed. It takes 1 to 2 hours to wake up and get out of bed and get ready for the day. There's a lot of prep. There's a lot more that goes in. It's like when I open my eyes, you know, I can get up. There is a process involved that I think people don't understand. When they see you out and about, there was a process to get you there and to maintain there. And what I'm trying to do is get people to understand that it is, just because you're up and about doesn't mean it's still not a challenge for you on a daily basis to do the things that we all take for granted.
Oh, exactly. I mean, my caregiver comes at like 8 in the morning, and, you know, I'm just there in bed. It's not like I can, you know, start getting up myself. So, I mean, they basically have to, you know, just feed me, you know, kind of give me a bed bath and put my clothes on, transfer me from the bed into my wheelchair. And then once I'm in my wheelchair, finish getting me dressed, you know, brush my teeth, put the rest of my clothes on. So it takes several hours to do all that. Yeah. And, you know, it's kind of like reversed at night. Like I have someone come and, you know, get me undressed and put me in bed, get me positioned. And, you know, and also once I'm in bed, like I'm in bed. It's not like I'm, can really do much besides, thank God for, technology, and I can talk to the TV now to turn
Right.
on.
So
that's about it.
what can people do to help? Because there are organizations like Next Step. There are organizations that are constantly fighting for better treatments, more opportunities for treatments, more opportunities for work or education or entertainment. What can people like me do when they hear your story to help out in the world of that you're in?
Well, the biggest thing to me is the therapy, because that's what's going to help. I feel like most of patients, most of spinal cord injury patients get better is therapy. So donating to like a Next Step, Christopher Reeves Foundation, the spinal cord research to try to really find a cure here, because I feel like with technology nowadays that they definitely could probably come up with something soon.
Yeah.
But definitely like a local therapy place, because that's where we gain most of our independence back from that therapy.
Love it. All right. So how do people reach you? Because I know we have a lot of people watching. So, because I can see it on all the platforms, not just the one we're on. So tell me how they can best reach you. Is it best to go to the Facebook page that I have streaming across the bottom?
Yeah, Facebook is the main way I post most of my updates and videos of my progress, because people like to know the progress of how I'm doing, and I like to share that with people also, that people that are helping me out, and because insurance doesn't pay for Next Step, unfortunately, so it's out of pocket, and it's it's kind of expensive, because it's more than one-on-one care. There's multiple people helping us at a time, so it gets expensive. So it's nice to show people what their donations are going to, and like to see that progress that I'm actually making, and that they're making a difference for me. So yeah, Facebook is usually the best, but also Instagram or Twitter. I'm on both.
And so before we head out, so it's facebook.com/Hillstrong, which is scrolling across the bottom there.
Correct.
Before we head out, what is it that is your plan? Because I know you wrote it up about your journey to walk again. In your mind, do you have goals that you set for, well, I want to be able to have progressed to this by a certain time? Is that what you work toward? Is there something in the back of your mind where this is where I really want to be at a certain time?
I mean, my goal is, of course, walking, but realistically, I would love to be able to at least move my hand enough or my arm where I don't need to drive my wheelchair with my sip and puff, where I drive with my mouth. And then giving that little bit of arm movement where I can kind of feed myself, be able to pick up a drink so I can, have something when I want to drink. Just to have that little bit more of independence back. And then maybe that will allow me to go out, maybe start, physically working again. And kind of, just give me some part of my normal life back that I used to have.
Understood. You're an inspiration, my friend. Very, very much so. I think it's amazing the progress that you've made, your attitude, which I believe is such a big part of I don't care what your challenge is, having that mental, like you talked about, is just so critical. But you have it. I know it's not like that all the time, but I want to just give you a huge shout out for all of the amazing work that you have done. I want people to reach out, get involved. Right. You heard what David said. Insurance doesn't cover everything. There are organizations out there that you can get involved with, people's journeys that you can get involved with. And I encourage you to reach out to me or reach out to David directly and get involved. Thank you so much for being on the show, my friend. It was amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. David Hill, facebook.com/Hillstrong. All right. We'll see you soon. Thanks, David.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.